Alright, so it is 2:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over here in Florida, where I live right there. Thursday, September 6, 2018, over here on the U.S. Geological Survey's earthquake hazard site. As of right now, 2:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're looking at 340 earthquakes over the last 24 hours. Gold dots represent earthquakes of all magnitudes within the last 24 hours. The red dots, if you can see, represent earthquakes within the last hour. So very tiny little earthquakes. A little swarm down here in Southern California. And we have a pretty big event happening down here in Fiji, starting with this 7.8. When I got my alert while I was at work earlier, a couple hours ago, I have my alert settings to only notify me of anything over a 6.0 or deeper than 300 kilometers, no matter what size it is. If it's very deep, it alerts me, and if it's over 6.0, large, deep or shallow, it alerts me. So I got an alert while I was working, took a look at my phone, I saw it registered as initially as an 8.1 on the Richter scale, and as the USGS routinely does, it was downgraded quickly thereafter and is now sitting at a 7.8. I'm going to zoom in on this area right here, take a look at everything a little closer. So we've got 7 earthquakes in our screen here, all of them in Fiji, all of them except for one in Tonga. It's this guy right here. So we're going to zoom him out of here. Just take a look at these. So over here on the left hand side we have the magnitudes, we have the locations and the time. This is a UTC, it's a universal time. And over here we have the depths. So out of these 6 earthquakes right here in Fiji over the last 24 hours, starting with a large deep 4.4 at 580 kilometers depth, 5.5 at 531 kilometers, another 4.7. These are all foreshocks leading up to 7.8. I don't think there's been a tsunami warning really issued because it's such a deep earthquake. We'll see what it says. No tsunami warning. We'll go back and see what else. So we have some aftershocks already. 5.5, 643 kilometers, a little bit deeper than the big 7.8. And then another 4.9, 5.0, 610 kilometers. Let's take a look at the scientific information on this particular earthquake. And I don't know if I'm uploading this or not. Maybe I will. If you're watching it, that means I did. But I'm just documenting my own quick look at this earthquake. So I'm going to look at the origins. Listing it as a 7.8. Look at the magnitudes over here. These are all the different stations that report these earthquakes. Let's take a look at what the stations were reporting versus no amplitude. Well, how do you like that? Isn't that a shocker? Let's see what we got here. Oh, here we go. So 7.3, 6.9, 7.59. Just looking at all the different stations that are reporting this earthquake. international stations. A lot of them. This is basically felt all the way around the world, or picked up on the equipment all the way around the world. Goodness gracious. So it looks like most of them are reporting around, 7.8, so we'll stick with that. Not really much else to look at. Probably not a lot of people. 6 people say they felt it, but more than likely it wasn't felt, and it didn't cause a tsunami, so that's good. But that's not really the concern with these types of deep earthquakes. 608 kilometers. That's pretty good ways down beneath the Earth's crust, beneath the plate. All the way at the bottom of the ocean is the plate. And underneath that plate is where this earthquake originated. So that earthquake is going to now transfer seismic pressure up to the surface. See these depths in most of the earthquakes? We'll look over here. Here's what we'll do. We'll zoom in on the United States. I'll give you an example. I'm going to take the Fiji earthquakes out of the equation. I'm just going to look at all these earthquakes. We'll look at this little cluster over here near Puerto Rico, the Caribbean. Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So the deep one right here is 130 kilometers, but as you notice, most of them are not very deep. Certainly not 600 kilometers in depth. So you can get an understanding that this earthquake in Fiji is much different. Besides the magnitude, the depth is very deep. I'll give you some more examples. We'll look at this swarm over here in California, Southern California. And again, here's our depths on this side. Here's our magnitudes, but we're not really interested in it. What we're trying to distinguish here is the depths of most earthquakes as compared to the one in Fiji earlier today. So you can see they're all in the single digits. All these are very shallow earthquakes, still shallow, 11 kilometers. Not very far from the surface of the crust. Got a little swarm up here in the Yellowstone area, which, I've been keeping my eye on that for a while. Still don't feel like, there's any chance of Yellowstone erupting like some people are talking about. I just don't see that happening. It's going to take a massive earthquake to put enough seismic pressure to push the plate enough to move 11 Grand Canyons worth of magma underneath the Yellowstone supervolcano to the surface, enough to cause an explosion. So anyway, there's a little swarm over here in the Yellowstone region, and same thing. None of these are really deep at all. They all very shallow, 13 kilometers so far, 14.8 kilometers, but nothing very deep at all. Take a look over here along the coast, Washington, Oregon area. Oh, what do we got here? Packwood, Washington. Wonder what there. Let's take a look at this guy, just for shits and giggles. How many people watching this have ever heard of Packwood, Washington? Oh, what's this? Look where this earthquake was. Anybody want to take a guess what that is? It's a volcano. So we got an earthquake. So there's some volcanic activity going on here. I believe that seismic and volcanic energy is singular and or symbiotic. They work together. They're one singular source of energy. If you want to look at it as a source of energy. So there's movement going on all good here. Obviously, these are all volcanoes. All these little white caps you see, this is all volcanic region. So this is also up in the area that, up in here that they call the Cascadia subduction zone. And this is the Juan de Fuca plate. Out here is the Pacific plate. All these are under seamount volcanoes. In case you didn't know, there's literally millions of volcanoes on the planet. And 99.9% of them are underneath the oceans. A lot of people are not aware of that, but now you are. This is a nice little fracture zone that runs all the way across the Pacific plate. Dead ends right here in the corner of the Juan de Fuca plate, and is also where the Cascadia subduction zone, which is this area up in here, ends, and then we go into the San Andreas. So there's been a lot of earthquakes out here, out in this area over the past month or two. I've been keeping my eye on there. I would not be surprised if the energy from this earthquake in Fiji makes its way across some of these fracture zones that run across the Pacific plate, which is this big piece here. Hawaii sitting right in the middle of the Pacific plate, and obviously the North American plate, and so on. So we got a big 8.0 almost earthquake right here. That's going to come up to the surface, and it's going to transfer that seismic energy. If you could envision rings, it's going to go to the south. It's going to go over here toward the west, up in through the Indonesian islands and Papua New Guinea. It's probably going to produce some earthquakes right here, and then probably right in here, right in this region here. This place right here has been getting hammered with earthquakes. Philippines up here, that energy will travel just kind of like water. It'll travel up in between these plates, along the plate boundaries, which are these red lines. All these red lines right here, these are plate boundaries where one plate meets up against another plate. So if you can imagine that as a crack that goes all the way down underneath the crust, these big chunks of earth are all kind of rubbing up against each other and bumping against each other and moving. So we've got some massive pressure up under this side right here. Huge pressure pushing up on the entire plate and the surrounding plates. And so it works its way up and finally reaches the surface, and it usually, not always, but usually, majority of the time, these deep earthquakes produce larger, shallower earthquakes. So if we're starting with a 7.8, we go up to, say, 1 magnitude larger still, that's an 8.8. That's almost a 9.0 earthquake. And there hasn't been one like that in a long time. So this whole area needs to be on watch. I'm going to go back to the list of earthquakes, and I'll show you a few things here. I'm sorry, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to upload this or not. If I do upload it, I apologize, because it's not like rehearsed or anything. I just got home from work, jumped on here, and I'm recording it just for my own documentation. But sometimes I just feel obligated to share my research and observations in a visual format so that you can understand where my mind's going on how these earthquakes act and what they do and what to expect. So we just had another 5.0 at 662 kilometers. Again, deep underneath the plate right here, pushing up. So one side of the plate moves, the other side's going to move. You know what I'm saying? If you push up on one side's going to go down, and vice versa. But there's going to be a transfer of this energy that's being pushed up on the underside of the plate up to the surface. It's going to disrupt the land masses surrounding it. It's going to shift everything, and that energy is going to transfer. Energy always transfers. All types of energy. It just doesn't go away. It transfers or turns into some other form of energy, but it transfers. It continues. So where we see no earthquakes is where we usually look to see the next earthquakes once that pressure starts moving up to the surface. So we're going to look to the south. If I lived in New Zealand, I would be, at least having the right frame of mind, kind of, expecting, but not necessarily freaking out about it, but expecting. Be on watch for it. Be ready. Make sure you have an earthquake plan. How are you going to communicate with your family? Just had another one while I'm recording this. We just had another one. 4.6, 662 kilometers. So that's going to go down to the south. It could land down in here. It could go off up here. But it will produce earthquakes of similar or even larger size. And so the next spot that I'm going to look for is going to be over here in New Caledonia, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, up in this area here, in between this one and this one and this one. Then we could also see pressure come up right here near Jakarta, Indonesia. Of course, the Lombok region is still getting seismic energy coming in for like a month now. It's ridiculous. I feel so sorry for those people over there. If any of you over there are watching this video, please share it and let them know that that pressure is coming up and it's going to move across through the plate, in between the plate boundaries. It'll go all the way up into here. It'll move all the way across. It'll work its way out here to the mid-Atlantic ridge. This earthquake right here is likely energy from a previous earthquake up to a week or two ago. That's finally bubbling its way out here to the mid-Atlantic ridge. So we should definitely start to see some activity in this region. All up in here, Italy, Greece, Turkey, all up in here, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Burma and Myanmar, Sumatra region. And then also, once that energy gets to around this area and here, it will often come up through the Philippines. It'll kind of go up through here towards Taiwan, up in here. And then sometimes it will wind its way up in here. So you got the Mariana Islands and Guam on this side, and then we have southern Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines on this side. So some of that energy, after it comes up to the surface, will immediately just begin to transfer over into these directions, up in here, and then also down. Now, there are fractures, like similar to this one, but much deeper, so you can't really see them. This is actually a mountain ridge underneath the ocean. This is a fracture, and so energy can come from up here in Kamchatka, Russia, and sometimes instead of going across the Aleutian Islands, which some of it will, it's like if water came and hit a pole, it would split. Excuse me. And so some of that comes down in here and it works its way across. Some of it comes up into Alaska, goes north. Some of it obviously gets a little bubbling, so it reduces a little bit, but eventually that energy also will come down in through here. And then it spreads out, and then it works its way across the North American plate and out to the mid-Atlantic ridge. Some of this pressure is going to probably work its way over here to this side. And, if you live along the coasts, anywhere in here, this region here, you should expect, if you live in the volcanic regions, you should expect some volcanic activity to increase. A lot of volcanoes up in here, so there's that as an issue as well. Not only will this produce larger, shallower earthquakes, but there are volcanic fields all along the way up and through here that it will also affect. And so you'll see oftentimes an immediate increase in volcanic activity, but that's good in some ways in that volcanoes act as a pressure relief valve and kind of mitigate a little bit of that energy. So that's pretty much all I've got right now. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this, so down down to the south, New Zealand, the Kermadec Islands, New Caledonia, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, East Timor. I hate to say the Bali Lombok region, but you know, obviously you guys are on high alert already anyway, but please just, you know, have a plan, make sure you're ready. And then up in here in the western part, Japan obviously should be on high alert, especially after yesterday's big earthquake. A lot of people trapped underneath their homes. There have been massive landslides. I'm sure if you haven't seen, I posted a video, some of the very first video footage of an aerial overflight of a massive landslide. It looked like the whole mountain ridge for miles collapsed onto houses and structures below. So pray for the people in Hokkaido, Japan, Sapporo region. I'm not really gonna, you know, stay on this all day. I do have some things to do. I work a regular full-time job, but I'm gonna be monitoring this. I hope that you'll share these videos, share my posts. Obviously, I don't ask for money for anything. I just do this in my spare time. And I really think that anybody could learn how to forecast earthquakes. If you're interested in learning, send me a message and maybe we can work something out. Anybody have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Eyes wide open, never fear, have a plan. Share this video. Thanks for watching.